but the more specific you talk about strength training and are involved in it, the more it gets narrowed down to what it really is. It's been a hell of a journey ever since I started. I did, yeah. I went to the jungle.
You went to the jungle
in Madagascar.
Yeah.
There's a difference between what's flexibility and what's mobility. Best decision I ever made. Been working as a personal trainer.
Okay. Hi everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about strength training and everything that you would like to know about strength training, okay? So, before I get into strength training, I'd like to introduce to you my good friend and brother from another mother, Alex Sears. How you doing?
My man, I'm good.
You're good? Good to hear, bro. Okay. So, before we get into like the ins and outs of strength training, please tell us about yourself, your career, anything you'd like to share with us today.
Right.
Of course, for you.
Well, I'm Alex, yeah. I've been training my body quite intensively for the last, I would say, 13 years. It's been a hell of a journey ever since I started. It's been kind of interesting because I never started out really fit. I was kind of a chubby little kid, really, I wouldn't say popular at all in school, never good at sports, and suddenly I got a growth spurt, started playing basketball. Started to get a little good at that. Left the school that we were in together, and then I went and played for this other school with a really good basketball team. They had a gym there, and I saw all these adults, professional basketball players training, and they all looked like superhumans. I was like, oh my god, I want to look like that. They're training hard. I got to train too. Yeah. Started hitting the gym every single day. Started skipping class, going there any moment that I could. And I saw results real quick. And by no means was I ever, happy with myself. For some reason, I was just kind of chasing it.
Yeah, it's just it's funny you say that, because I remember you when we were in school together. I used to drive you around, you and my younger brother, in this area and around and everything. Mm-hmm. And I just remember seeing you from my memory, right? You were a pretty tall kid for your class, but then one year I saw you and suddenly, boom,
yeah,
boom, I saw two explosions happening. I was like, oh my god, is this guy? This is the kind of guy that I was driving around, the Brilicia and stuff, and then all of a sudden this massive guy is crushing my hand. I'm like, oh wow.
Exactly. And that was just day in, day out putting in the work. That wasn't even zero knowledge on nutrition, zero knowledge in training. It was kind of like, okay, I saw this guy do this exercise, I'll do it. And it didn't matter what reps. I was just kind of going anywhere from 10 to freaking 40 reps. No rest, no knowledge on it whatsoever. So those quick results just fueled me a little bit more, and I decided to go and study sport, health, and exercise sciences. Unfortunately, was very much surprised, unpleasantly surprised. The degree that I was doing was not at all leaving me content or happy. This is not what I wanted to do. It was just teaching me to be a scientist with a kind of a splash of sports theory in there, and it was like 90% theory. That's not what I was interested in. Yeah. And I realized that I don't need a degree to become a strength and conditioning coach. That isn't something that's usually a degree anyway, anywhere. This is something that is a specialized thing that you go and learn through a long period of time and through a lot of experience and through a lot of training yourself and others. Mm-hmm. And so I continued playing sports. I left uni early to go and become a strength and conditioning coach. I made that happen for me. Left the United Kingdom where I was studying and working, came to Greece. Best decision I ever made. Been working as a personal trainer and strength and conditioning coach ever since. I've trained professional athletes. I've trained amateur athletes. I've trained teenagers. I've trained older individuals. I currently train somebody with multiple sclerosis, somebody with Parkinson's, numerous people who've had depression or who currently have depression. Absolutely. Okay. And it's done them all very good so far. And I'm here today.
That's great to hear, man. Thank you for sharing all that with us. I just want to touch up on one or two other things, because I know that you're really into walking in nature and going to the mountains. Mm-hmm. Maybe not so much going to the beach, from what I know, but you're more of a mountain kind of guy.
Yeah,
and you
definitely.
Like doing other activities like camping and. Did you go to, what was it called, Nomads, I think it was?
I did, yeah. I went to the jungle.
You went to the jungle.
In Madagascar.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic.
Not under the holiday ideal situation that I'd like, though. It was more like it was a reality TV show. It's like Survivor. So we were eating like 300 calories every single day. I lost like 20 kilos of muscle. It was not very pleasant, but very pleasant at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. So you've had your own version of a roller coaster. I think everyone has one every now and again.
Lots of ups and downs.
Yeah. Well, it's great to have you here today. So let's buckle down on what we want to talk about.
My pleasure.
So to start off, let's define, for those that don't know, to define what strength training is. So I did a little bit of research, and I'll just quote this off here and let me know what you think. From my own research, I found that strength training has also other names: weight training, resistance training, and muscular training. And can be defined as the following. Strength training is any physical movement in which you use your body weight or equipment such as dumbbells, resistance bands, or weights to build muscle mass, strength, and endurance. Mm-hmm. Is that like just about what it is? Or
it's mostly that, I would say, minus the endurance part. There is strength and strength training are kind of an umbrella term. They kind of overlap lots and lots of different things. But the more specific you talk about strength training and are involved in it, the more it gets narrowed down to what it really, really is. So obviously, when someone is a marathon runner and he betters his time through hard training, he's getting stronger in that way. His muscles are responding and he's become a better long-distance runner. Same goes for a sprinter. But that is not really strength training per se. Strength training is more so the very laser-focused approach in specifically getting stronger. Not so much in terms of endurance, more so in terms of being able to produce an amount of force that will move an object or hold a certain position, and being able to improve on that every single time. And it's more classified to the all-out response of the muscular system. So yes, strength training does branch over gaining more muscle and being better at endurance sports, but it's more specific. It's more like an exercise like the barbell deadlift. I can deadlift this barbell. If I were to put as much weight on this barbell as I possibly could for just a 1 rep max, and say that for the sake of this conversation is just 100 kilos, and I can't lift a feather more, not half a kilogram more.
Okay.
And I lift that only for 1 rep, and I can't lift another rep, and I can't lift any more weight. Strength training is going to be how much more weight can I throw on there, and what my training will be in order to lift more weight, get stronger in that approach.
I see.
And from that,
it's an iterative kind of like an approach. It's not just one-off kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's more like, I know that maybe like I don't know where my strength levels have a ceiling, but I can figure them out. And how do I do that? I do strength training in specific movements in order to better myself at those lifts. Specific movements have been shown to help in getting more strength much more efficiently and effectively than other movements. So the 3 main strength movements are the deadlift, the squat, and the barbell bench press. And then there are a few more, but those specifically get translated into strength and power as we know it.
Okay.
So someone training to become stronger in the barbell, squat, and deadlift, the barbell bench press, squat, and deadlift, will find that just by training those 3 things, will get better at so many other areas. Yeah. They will be better athletes. They will be healthier. They will be able to do more other movements. It just sort of strengthens the system in a completely different way.
Thanks for sharing that, actually. There's something in my mind that I want to touch upon a little bit later, but that's very good, actually. It's good that you mentioned that. I just want to touch on, for example, now, like how strength training can boost energy levels and improve your mood. Like everyone knows, for example, that any type of exercise that you do releases endorphins and whatnot. But I was doing a little bit of research, and this particular person, Mr. Pyre, says that actually, when you do strength training, there's a possibility that you can release even more endorphins in comparison to doing maybe just like a cardio workout. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Well, it's quite complicated in the way that yes, it's also endorphins that get secreted. It's way more than just that. It's anything from the momentary pleasure of someone feeling good while they're lifting heavy objects or themselves. It gets them feeling a little bit more confident, a little bit better. That's just happens instantaneously, all the way down to seeing the long-term benefits, such as just you like looking healthier, you like feeling healthier, you enjoy being able to do more with your body. Someone who hasn't dabbled in that so much, it's very difficult for them to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, okay.
Like, even for myself, all of my trainees for sure, if I could somehow show them what their hard work could produce in 3, 4, 5, 6 years time, they would be like, you're lying to me. Like, there's no way that I'll look like that or I'll be able to perform like that. But you can. And if everyone could see that, it would be actually really cool.
Yeah.
So, of course, it provides all of those psychological and physiological benefits. And it's something that almost everyone can do because the body likes to move in these ways. Strength training has been around for very many years. It's something that the body responds to great. It's something that everyone, regardless of their metabolic type, everyone, regardless of their age, can do. This can be great for people who, even someone who's handicapped in a particular way, can train strength movements. It doesn't have to be limited to those exercises that I said before. The premise of strength training revolves around being able to be as close to your absolute maximum effort as you possibly can. And that is represented through the rep ranges of 1 to 5, 1 to 6 reps on any movement. And perhaps even holding a specific position. Say, for example, if I do a pull-up, hold myself at the top of the pull-up. But obviously, like most of us who can do a few pull-ups can hold ourselves up there for quite a while. So anything over like 15 seconds of that won't be training specifically for strength. A different outcome will be produced. But that 1 to 5 rep range is specific for strength. So just to go right back to the example of the deadlift, I deadlift 100 kilos. I want to be able to deadlift 150 kilos. I'm not going to go in and deadlift 100 kilos every single time just for one rep. That will get me stronger, but the strategy is more like my program will be...
The iterative approach that we were talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Yeah, great to hear. So also... in a general kind of like term, strength training promotes a better quality of life, but in different aspects. Numerous studies have linked strength training to increased health-related quality of life for both physical and mental well-being. I think you touched upon that a little bit, that, I want to just kind of like understand the difference as to how maybe like doing a cardio workout can improve your mental well-being, but how does strength training also reflect upon that as well? Okay,
specific to mental well-being. So any exercise that you do, I'm a big fan of the fact that it's somewhat of a meditative thing, and in that sense, I mean that most of the time, when you're going to push yourself to any extent, whether it's for endurance or for strength training or for just building muscle. If you're serious about it, you're not going to be thinking about anything else during that time. You're going to be thinking about, if you're doing an endurance sport like running, you're going to be thinking about, making sure that you're stepping right. You kind of get lost in that moment. And that's very important. With strength training, it's even more serious because, as I said, when you're working to rep ranges of 1 to 5 reps, you're working very close to your limit. Anytime you're working close to your limit, there's real danger that you might get hurt. You can't afford to lose your focus. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
You see people...
It's happened to me as well, I must say.
You get lost in the moment, you're not fully focused in it, and you get injured, or you don't get the absolute benefit from it. So just because there's a meditative aspect, you can say that there's a huge mental benefit to it. Other than that, it's just simple physiology. I mean, doing heavy compound exercises, that means using 2 or more muscle groups, you end up releasing more human growth hormone in your system. That has a psychological effect on you as well.
Absolutely, it affects the brain. Yeah.
Absolutely, you increase your testosterone. It affects the brain massively. It makes you more tired, able to sleep a little bit better.
Yeah.
You feel more robust. Everything is translated directly into the mental aspect. And I'll tell you, man, I remember, like we said before, when I was a younger kid, I was, right before my growth spurt, I was chubby. I was unpopular. I didn't, I was dying to get some of that attention that many of my classmates or friends were getting. I wasn't getting any. And immediately, as soon as I put on a lot of muscle and got tall, I got treated so differently from everyone. It solves a lot of these problems. And a lot of these problems of, having low self-confidence get solved.
That's what I want to talk about next, actually, because I found that, I knew this predominantly, but I just kept reading it over time and time again through the articles that I was going through. Like, strength training boosts your self-esteem, which is really, really important, because it says here that if you want to overcome challenges, not only just the kind of the physical challenges that you have, it could be like challenges that you have in your workplace or in your social life. We all need a little bit of that extra self-confidence to get us through the day better. So can you share with us how you think this has impacted you, or how you think your peers reflect on this?
Absolutely. Well, again, when you deal with something that's quite threatening, and I'm not talking about something that might happen out of your control. You're going into a gym where you're using your own body weight to perform certain movements, and that puts you in real danger. Just getting through that and feeling almost kind of frightened by what you're about to put your body through, but you know that you're so focused and you can pull through it. It kind of is a hardship that helps you understand how robust and capable you are. Mm-hmm. You can go out into the world and take on a few more things. You're suddenly dealing with problems that life throws at you a little bit calmer. Or you start to find certain things that are more important for you. And it solves all of these problems, especially when it comes to, a lot of self-confidence and self-esteem has to do not only how we see it, but how we interact with our peers and everyone else in our environment. Mm-hmm. So immediately when you feel strong and you're able to demonstrate that and display it, and people start to take notice of it, it might be something simple as in, you just appear a little bit larger because you've thrown on a bit of muscle, or you are needed for something and people notice, hey, this person is a bit stronger. The way that people treat you is very different if you didn't possess that, or if you didn't have that disciplined habit of actually doing it. Because it's also a pretty tough thing to keep yourself disciplined into doing. Yeah. Nobody on their off day, when you're feeling a little low, when you're feeling a little tired, nobody wants to go and train. The difference is that learning to do it anyway, kind of that boosts your self-confidence as well. Yeah. You kind of feel proud of yourself that I'm able to do this. How many other people would have said, screw this, I'm going to lie down in bed all day, do something else, not be active, not do what I'm supposed to do. And there are days when you can say that. But I feel like we're all very far from earning those days. I feel like you can stay in bed and do something one day, but if you think about things on the grand spectrum of things, let that be very few days. I heard this, two super quotes that I heard recently is, you are as healthy as your self-worth, mm-hmm. is one of them. So if you don't respect yourself, and if you don't have a lot of worth, if you don't feel that you have a lot of worth, that's going to be directly affected into your health on things that you can, of course, control, right? Like your ability to go and do something, or not. And the other thing is, the only thing that you should procrastinate on is procrastinating. Definitely. All those things, man. And obviously, we're talking mental health. I mean, just knowing, not even being validated by others, but just by knowing that you can lift more, you are healthier, you're a better version of yourself that you were last year or the year before that, and you're getting better and you're progressing and you have these goals and you're making them happen. Those things put a smile to your face. Yeah. They definitely do.
It's a very personal kind of thing, isn't it?
Everyone's,
I mean, that's kind of like the way it was reflected with me as well. I mean, I used to go to the gym. I could have done a better job about I didn't really have a lot of guidance as to what exactly it is that I should be doing. So I kind of did a little bit of internet research and just threw myself in. But I feel like if I did have a little bit more guidance, then I would have like, some better results. And, when you work with a personal trainer, for example, you have someone who can really help you kind of, find like exactly what you're looking for. And so it takes a little bit of dedication, and a little bit of like, no procrastination. But yeah, I can see how you say.
It's all very different, man. Like
Yeah.
I remember when I first started training, I was 16 years old, and I mean, the weight room can be very forgiving when you're a teenager.
Yeah.
You can afford to mess up on a bunch of different things with very little consequences on your health. Whereas someone who's in even their mid-20s to 30s, that young, you screw up in the gym and something starts to hurt, and that hurt might not go away for months.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to be let down and being, like, oh my God, this isn't for me, or oh my God, I don't ever want to feel like this again. Like, you can snap a tendon or tear a muscle so easily if you're doing the wrong thing as an adult.
Exactly.
Whereas when, your joints are a little bit smoother, your tendons are a bit more softer when you're a teenager, you can afford to really go hard. Like, I remember I could recover from anything. Today, I'm 29 and I feel like I'm a 60-year-old guy. I feel like if I overdo it slightly, it'll take me a week to recover.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'll tell you from first-hand experience. Like, I remember working a very busy job in London, and my go-to place after that was the gym to release the stress. Right. There was one particular night where I was really tired. I didn't get enough sleep, and I went to the gym, and that was probably a mistake because I wasn't focused, and I was doing some overarm barbell kind of like exercises. I don't know what the term was for it. You could tell straight away that I was an absolute noob going into the gym. But I was kind of doing this, and then like there was a lapse of concentration, and I dropped the barbell a little bit.
Oh, man.
It didn't fall onto the floor, but I really messed up my shoulder.
Has it stuck with you since?
It's stuck with me since.
Man.
So it happens. It can happen to anyone. If you're not getting the right kind of like, not solicitation, but if you're not getting the right advice,
attention and advice, absolutely.
And if you're tired and you're not focused, and it can be terrible.
Not to mention, man, that a lot of this has to do with our genetics.
Yeah.
Like I'm so lucky. Like I may have been a chubby kid, but one thing that my genetics allow me to do is I can pack on weight really easily, both in fat and in muscle. So if I don't have a problem eating a lot. I eat a lot. And I have a problem not eating a lot. So if I eat a lot and train, happy days. If I eat a lot and don't train, no bueno. Things are not going to go well. And definitely, man, it's a lot harder, even picking it up right now and trying to find your footings and stuff like that right now. Your genetics play a huge role because, honestly, some of our DNA just allows us to be naturally stronger, be able to recover faster. Our muscle insertions into our joints work better. It has to do with what parents we've picked.
Yeah. That's good. That's an interesting way to put it. Not a lot of choice in that, but
no.
But yeah. But one thing that we touching on that subject, like if you are doing it the right way, if you're working out and you're doing strengthening the right way, it can actually lower your risk of injury.
Absolutely.
Because if performed correctly, including strength training in your exercise routine may reduce your risk of injury. Okay, I've said that. Strength training helps improve the strength, range of motion, the mobility of your muscles, ligaments, and tendons. This can reinforce strength around your major joints in your knees and hips, ankles, and other joints as well to provide additional protection against injury. So this is what I've researched. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Mostly yes. So working to the ability of your range of motion is an absolute must in the strength training world. Many people today think that flexibility exercises, stretching exercises are unnecessary. Yes and no. You can always increase your flexibility, but there's a difference between what's flexibility and what's mobility. Mobility is your ability to take your limb, your something, whatever you're moving in your body, to the range of motion that you're able to move it in. Flexibility is, say for example, if you were to stand up straight and lift your leg up straight, as far as you're able to lift it and hold it, that's your mobility. Now, if I were to hold onto your leg and push it up further, you might not be able to on your own put it up there, but if I push your leg up further, it'll move up another 10 centimeters. That's flexibility. And the difference between the two is your risk of injury.
Yeah. Okay.
So the further apart your flexibility is from your mobility, the greater your chance of injury. Strength training improves your mobility. If you're moving to your full range of motion, for example, if I am doing squats in the gym and I go all the way down as far as I'm capable of going down in terms of depth on a squat, I'm suddenly increasing my mobility. I'm putting my tendons and ligaments into a certain stress that allows them to get stronger in that extended position and increase it as well. So then my mobility starts to catch up to my flexibility, and my risk of injury is a lot less.
Okay.
Not to mention that if I go and do squats and I'm lifting 50 kilos and I weigh 50 kilos, if I do strength training and someday I can move 150 kilos on the squats, that 150 kilos is directly translated in what I do in my everyday life. That means that specifically for squats, because it's a lower body movement, I can get up and down the stairs better.
Exactly.
If I fall down, like my muscles, my tendons, and my ligaments are all used to moving 150 kilos, not just 50 kilos. That's 3 times what I weigh. Meaning that if I fall down or if I somehow
you're jumping the gun, man. You're answering all the questions that I want to ask, man.
I'm sorry, yeah.
That's good that you're getting into it in your natural flow, because that just shows you, like, from an expert here, that just shows you that, you know, it's true, because, you know, I was about to mention that, like, my grandfather, you know, fell down the stairs, and he unfortunately, like, injured his hip. My mother also, she was walking one day, she stepped over a pine cone and she twisted her foot. Doing strengthening exercises, from what I've understood, helps you support your body a little bit better.
100%.
And there's more than one way in how it works as to how you can prevent injury, and that becomes really, really important in our later stages in life. So, you know, it sounds like to me we all need to do a little bit of strength exercises in our early years, so that we don't end up regretting it in our later years.
Absolutely, and in our later years too.
Yeah, and in our later years too. Can we? Is it possible? Like, if we were to train in our later years, would that? I think that would help as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there's
I have
it
people.
Almost applies to everyone, you know.
Absolutely. I have one of my trainees is a woman. I started training her when she was 50 years old. She didn't look bad, but she had no muscle on her, and her range of motion was absolutely ridiculous. It was very bad. In these last 5 years that we've been training, she looks not only so much better than when she was 50 years old, she looks better than she was in her 20s. She showed me a photo of her when she was in her 20s, and I couldn't believe it. Like, she looks so much better right now, so much better. Mm-hmm. And absolutely, you can start at a later age. You can start at 60s, 70s, 80s, whenever. The muscle tissue responds to stress. The muscle cell itself doesn't change. What does change is your ability to pack on more muscle or build strength as well, or lose it.
Yeah.
Or maintain it. Those things are impacted with age. Anyone can start training. Anyone can increase their muscles at any age. It's just going to be so much more difficult and slower and harder in general to do that when you're older rather than when you're younger. So if you do start when you're younger, you can hold on to it for a long time. And the number one thing that has a direct correlation with longevity is your ability to hold on to muscle tissue. That's the number one thing.
Okay.
People who live the longest somehow can also hold on to their muscle tissue and use it, because that's all you do. Muscle tissue, I mean, we're not talking aesthetics right now, we're talking about just purely function and well-being. You can, by putting on more muscle tissue, you're able to do more with it.
Yeah.
You're able to move heavier things, you're able to walk further, you're able to run more, sprint more, walk up the stairs, carry more things.
Yeah, absolutely.
All of those things.
You can see how that really helps, like, a lot of people. You know, it's really fundamental, isn't
Absolutely,
it?
man.
And what I wanted to ask you is, you know, how does strength training? How can we apply, like, this to people, to those that are unfortunately chronically ill people, to those people that can't get out of bed, to those people that can barely walk to the bathroom? Well, these kind of people, it's an immense challenge for them to be able to do strength training. So, you know, it happened to me as well, you know, where, you know, I had my own health issues at some point, and I was struggling with energy, and, you know, sometimes really struggling to get out of bed in the morning. But I remember like trying to get my body stronger. I couldn't do push-ups off the floor, but so I started doing some push-ups off the wall, and that helped me a little bit day by day. And thankfully now I'm in a much better position. I'm feeling better, and I'm not as chronically ill as I was before. But I've been able to see the gradual difference over a short period, an extended period of time. So, do you have any particular advice to these people who have, of course, we need to, say a disclaimer, we're not medical professionals, anything that you try, you should at least, especially if you're chronically ill, you should run by like a doctor to make sure everything's checked out. But do you have any particular advice to these kind of people as to where they can start?
Well, here are two things that we should embrace fully, and one is that we're not professional athletes, we're people who want to become healthier. So the first thing is we can't almost help it anywhere near social media or even outside in the street. If you see people, you might compare yourself to them. We want to get out of that mentality totally. We want to get into the whole individual mentality. So we're not comparing. If I can't get out of bed because I'm chronically ill or mentally ill in any way, I should not look at someone who can function perfectly and compare myself to them. I need to compare myself to, how was I feeling last week? Am I doing better? That is one of the most important things, the mindset.
Absolutely.
And the second thing is embracing the whole umbrella term that strength training is. So as we said, in order to really target strength training, we will work between reps of 1 to 5. Anything over 5 or 6 reps, all the way up until about 30 reps, is considered muscle building. But there's a lot of overlapping in strength. If I can only do 10 push-ups, after 2-3 weeks, those 10 push-ups will become 12 or 15 push-ups. I'm getting stronger. I'm able to do more. But those rep ranges have more to do with muscle building. But I'm still getting stronger. So understanding that there's a very wide definition of what strength training is in that aspect, absolutely, that's something that we need to accept and do. So for example, someone who's bedridden and can't do much more than maybe a few sit-ups in bed, maybe that's all what they have to work with in the beginning. We need to take it in terms of a lengthy process. Nobody's done anything great in such a short period of time, and if they have, there's always some price to pay after that. I mean, you can either go fast and hard for a little while. I like to think the human body is a little bit like a car engine. You're either going to go really fast and really hard, and something's gonna mess up. It's not sustainable. Nothing is like that. Whereas you can go really slow and keep getting better for a long time, and probably a lot smoother. So
there's an Italian saying, actually, I can't remember, like I heard this from an Italian colleague who said, but those who walk the slowest are the people that reach the furthest.
Yeah, absolutely. There's also an African proverb. It says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Nice.
So that's a nice one.
I like that one.
So the thing is, what I would do is I would very much put a lot of my own interest into my own well-being. If I were in such a situation, I would prioritize it even. I would almost try and get obsessed with it, because there's clear benefit to it. Clear benefit. Invest in some home gym equipment. If you don't feel like going to the gym, or if you can't go to the gym, invest in some equipment. You don't absolutely have to, but it kind of puts the variety in training and makes it a lot more fun. So if all you've got to work with is body weight exercises, unless you're able to somehow sink into that train and keep doing body weight exercises to get stronger and fitter, that works wonders for many people. But many people kind of get bored, especially today. I feel like today, with all this technology around us and all these distractions, I mean, the brain is so bored so easily. It's almost like that's why personal training actually as a profession is suffering currently, because the trainee can't really distinguish between what they need to be doing and whether their PT is just running them into the floor because they got to work out if they feel so shit at the end of it. They don't have to do that. But absolutely, work with what you got at home. Think about it in terms of a very lengthy process. No need to despair and think like, why isn't anything happening? If you look at yourself, If you train every single day, and every single day you look at yourself in the mirror, you're going to see nothing. But if you look at yourself every month, every 2 months, every 3 months, every year, you're going to be like, wow, that's a difference. I have a trainee who's got multiple sclerosis, and we began trying to do squats. In the beginning, he couldn't do one single squat. He could barely do 5 assisted squats, which is helping himself up with his hands as well, like holding on to something. And we got to the point where he can actually do 6 full body weight squats. This man is in his 60s, and it's very, very difficult for him.
Yeah.
But his life has changed drastically ever since he can just even do that. It's incredible what a little bit of, and this has been going on for like 3 months. It's not happened in a day. It won't.
Yeah.
You got to give yourself the time. You got to believe in yourself. You got to know how to play the long game, and you need to somehow set your whole daily routine up so that you can do this. Like if you're bedridden, you do small sit-ups. Anyone can do small sit-ups.
Yeah.
But you have to. It's what we said before. Like you're as healthy as your self-worth. If you pity yourself a lot and you don't have a lot of self-worth, it's very difficult to even say, you know what, today I'm just going to do 5 sets of 10 small sit-ups just to squeeze my abs a little bit because I'm bedridden. But that at some point will become 15. And that day that it becomes 15 sit-ups, you might be like, oh my God, it kind of feels good to be doing 15 and not 10. And I'm not struggling so much all of a sudden. Yeah. I wonder what else I could do. And then they stand up and they're like, you know what, I'll try doing push-ups off the floor. Dang it, can't get a single one. Let's go to the wall. Okay, can do about 10. Not bad. 2 months pass by. Push-ups on the wall are too easy. So you challenge yourself with the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Yeah. Having something to look forward to like that and obsessing over it solves a lot of problems.
It does. You're really encouraging me to, step it up a little bit.
Absolutely, man. We don't have to think of ourselves. And I've been down that path of being a pro athlete and, just obsessing over your results and looking a specific way and all that stuff. As we said, it solves a lot of problems, but it's very unsustainable, and you're gonna miss out on a lot of other cool things life has. You're just gonna have to understand that, and everyone has to accept that. Everyone has to accept that all these people that we see who look so jacked and can do all these crazy things. Chances are they're living in the gym, not doing much else. Is life really that? It's a big part of it is, but okay, it doesn't have to be the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Alex, I've got these final 3 personal questions for you. Let's start with number 1. In your point of view, how much exercise is actually enough exercise?
Interesting. So I always, this is very similar to the question, how many rest days should I take? Almost the same. The only thing you can do is it's a journey, it's a personal journey of self-discovery. So you listen to your body. So you train hard enough to challenge you in that moment, in whatever way that you probably can, challenge yourself, and you take it from there. Are you able, say that workout that you did that one day, say it's just a 15-minute workout. Say it's like 3 sets of push-ups and a few sets of, assisted pull-ups or something like that. And it's challenging enough, but you know what? You can do that same workout the next day. It wasn't challenging enough, though. So I would say a perfect balance is being able to perform the same workout twice a week if necessary. So it needs to be hard enough that you won't be able to repeat easily the next 2, 3, 4 days, but maybe on the 4th, 5th, or 6th day, you can train again, the same workout in the same intensity. I think that amount of training is enough. Training is just one of those things that just should never really stop. Even resting hard on a day that you really need it is important. That's part of your training. Even, if you're someone who lacks discipline, getting to the gym regardless, even if you're sore as hell, that might be something that you have to do in order to improve your own discipline on it. Listen to your body. When it comes to, as I said...
I would agree with that. That resonates with me as well. Like listening to someone's body, and reflecting on that.
And this, as we're getting more specific into strength training itself, as in those 1 to 5 rep ranges, something about strength training in that sense, the more specific sense, is that you really tax your central nervous system doing it. In order for a muscle to recover, a muscle can recover anywhere between a few seconds to a few minutes on that same day. if I do heavy deadlifts, for example, and I'll feel my legs, my lower back working, my arms working, everything, especially on the deadlift, my muscles might feel ready to lift that same weight, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 minutes later. My nervous system, which is giving the signal to my muscles to contract in that 100% way, that might take many minutes. And sometimes in order to lift the exact same weight, if I've really pushed at that training session, it might take weeks until the central nervous system recovers. So you just have to play around with it. It's a journey of self-discovery. You'll find your limits. You'll see what works for you. You'll get coaches who can see what works for you better. There's nothing. I love. One of my colleagues actually said this to me. It was the best thing that he ever said. It said, "The best coaches have coaches."
Okay.
And I couldn't agree more, because you need the feedback from someone else. If you just base it purely on yourself, you're going to go a little bit slower. It's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you tried to teach yourself how to drive, it would have taken you a lot longer than if you had someone telling you what mistakes you're making.
Absolutely.
Right? Absolutely.
Okay, thanks for that. Question number 2. What do you like the most about strength training, and what do you like the least about it?
I like the most about it. What I like the most about it, I like feeling empowered.
Mm-hmm.
I like feeling that I've done something so difficult and I've gotten through it. I like the way that it makes me stand. It makes me function. I like being the strong guy. I like being recognized as that. I like knowing that inside me. I like knowing my capabilities. Those are just things I absolutely love. You get a lot of different treatment and attention from everyone around you by being strong. You feel different yourself, regardless of what other people say as well. And you can't help but take it after you really get a lot stronger than you're used to. Things become normal, and you sort of take your strength a little bit for granted, because you're like, but I'm able to do this even though I wasn't able to before. It's kind of like, I know I can move this object, I can get up the stairs, I can do a bunch of other things, I can lift more weight in this exercise. So I like that feeling where you can kind of, you being strong is a normal thing, but you're aware of it, and it's just a very pleasant feeling. And the thing I hate most about it is that
it's kind of harder to get in the car afterwards, right?
No. But what I will say is the things that's a real pain in the ass is the more advanced you are in training, the slower your results are. So
right.
I would say in the first 3 to 5 years of someone beginning strength training, it's so sweet and mellow. You break through so many plateaus so quickly, and you're constantly finding things out. Like after a certain moment, you still love training, but not like that. You break through a plateau. You reach your goal so fast, sort of way. Like I've been. I remember, for example, I was trying to work on my deadlift, and I was deadlifting like 240 kilos at the time.
My goodness.
And, yeah, like I couldn't...
Deadlifting 3 of me.
Yeah, pretty much. I couldn't get that number up. It was too much. I was using all of my knowledge. I was putting all of my efforts into it, and it wasn't going up at all. And that might happen for up to a year. You might be training the deadlift and not lift 5 kilos for a whole year. Somewhere where you were deadlifting, every 3 months you were deadlifting 10 kilos more on the deadlift. And suddenly you're, trying to fight for that 1 extra kilo. It's very mentally disturbing. I see. And obviously, just understanding that there is risk. You're very close to danger. You're at your physical limit when you're training in strength training. You have to be. So it requires all that attention, which is also, I think it's a double-edged sword. I also love that about it, because I'm able to sink into the exercise and just be only focused on the task at hand. But also, you're gonna screw up eventually. Everyone does. You're either gonna not test yourself so much, not push your limits so much, where you're gonna be hampering your progress a bit, or you're gonna be close to your limits, like me, and deal with all the consequences of maybe having a few injuries here and there. And it happens, and you'll learn. So you won't do it again. But the fact that they happen is just it's a big pain in the ass. Not been able to walk in weeks sometimes,
Oh, yeah.
all that shit.
Oh my goodness. As we say in Greek, asta na pane, which means let it go.
You do. I've had days where I've felt like I'm 80 years old for months.
Good grief, good grief.
That's just my wrongdoing, just being young and,
Okay, Mr. Alex Sears, final question. If someone was to start doing strength training tomorrow, what advice would you have for them?
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to go two ways with this. If you're a young person who's got some time on their hands and is fully healthy, the best thing you can do is just obsess over it. Start somewhere. Start there. Screw up as much as you like. If you can afford a coach, get a coach. I would say one of the best things to start when doing strength training, and if you're a healthy individual, is a 5x5 program. 5 sets, 5 reps. And those 5 reps have to be very close to your limit. You should not have another rep. You should not have a 6th rep in anything that you're doing. I would say that's a perfect way of getting into strength. Now, if you're someone who's had zero experience in exercise at all, maybe have a small transition phase where you just sort of figure yourself out. I'm a big fan of getting coaches, though. And if you're at all hampered in any way, maybe you're going through a tough time psychologically, maybe you're going through a tough time, maybe you're handicapped, or maybe you're just suffering from some disease or disorder, then again, get a specialist involved. That's literally the best thing that you can do. And you might have to filter them out. Not everyone is good. So you might have to mix around and see what works for you. A highly knowledgeable coach with very poor communication skills won't get you that far. Whereas a slightly less knowledgeable coach who's very invested in you and very excited to be working with you and help you get better, that's the coach that you want. Because that coach who's that invested in you will inevitably get better at some point. And you want someone who wants to be on top of you like that. It's important to have someone that can hold you accountable, because it's very easy to skip days. It's very easy to not see the light at the end of the tunnel. As a coach, I can see the light of the tunnel in every one of my trainees. I'm like, man, I can sort of tell pretty much exactly what you'll be like, physiologically speaking, in a couple of years, if you stick with it. My base analogy is, you said, how often should I train? Train every day if you can. You don't have to do the same intense stuff every day. It's different. The best way that I can think about it is, take a whole year, 365 days. How many of those days are you not training because of your rest days? 30, 60, 90. How many days are you missing your training because you're tired, you have work, you're sick? More days, more days, more days. The less you train, the slower you'll get there. So we try and be our peak selves by upping that as much as we possibly can.
I see.
Just frequency, intensified, focused effort, get a coach.
That's good. If you've got a spare spot for me, I'd like to jump on the train.
Well, actually, one of the things I'm getting involved in as of 2023, I'm going to take my whole business online. So I'm going to be training a bunch of different people like that and be very much on top of them. So I'll let you know when that happens.
Thanks, Alex. So just to end off, Alex, where can people find you on the internet? Anything you'd like to say or close off? I'll leave the stage for you.
Right. So I'm involved in a few different things right now. The fastest way of finding me is on YouTube and Instagram, and perhaps on Facebook. On Instagram, I'm Alex Sears PT. I'm on Facebook.
We'll have all that
Sears.
in the description box below.
Yeah, thank you. And YouTube is also Alex Sears. I'm currently running a podcast myself. It's called The Fittest Podcast. It's in Greek. At some point, hopefully change it up in English as well, but it's pretty much interviewing most of Greece's most famous and successful athletes and coaches, or anyone who has anything to do with very high level sports, and I can't wait. There's nothing like it, so I can't wait for you guys to tune in under that. And as of 2023, I'm taking all of my business online. I'm going to keep my existing trainees for as long as they want to work with me, but I'm becoming slowly digital. So it's going to be a very fun little process of monitoring new trainees remotely, creating custom workout programs, creating custom nutrition plans for them, and making sure every day with daily check-ins if they're doing it or not, and just helping them get through that. The most important thing is to actually do it. Third most important thing I'm going to say today. So the first most important motto I would say is the only thing you should procrastinate in is procrastinating. The second most important one is what was it?
Oh, sorry, you can't count on me, man.
The second most important one, we'll get to it. It doesn't matter. But what I really wanted to say right now is, what's the number one thing that will make you better? The most important thing, attendance. If you attend, if you're there and if you do it, that's most of the battle that's done. Screw up, do it wrong. You'll learn. You'll get involved in it. I mean, any person with half a brain can understand if something's working for them or not. And, if you're also open, I mean, there's lots of people, I see this in gyms all the time, is you have lots of people who reject advice. They reject this criticism. You can't go to the gym and have someone who's clearly like, if you're going to the gym and if we're like to level it up, you're a novice lifter, you're at level 5 out of 100, and there's another guy who's at level 80, listen to him. Like, even if he's being an idiot about it, I mean, okay, fine, he's an idiot, but he's got there somehow. So he's got something to tell you. I mean, you should pay attention to it.
Absolutely.
It's difficult too, because some of these guys are big pompous, guys who are just full of themselves and whatever. But they got there somehow. They've got some advice.
I see. Well, Alex, it's been a pleasure.
My man.
Thank you very much for coming here today.
My pleasure.
Thank you. For all of us watching, thank you for tuning into the video. If you liked the video, please give it a like, so it'll help us out a lot, or leave us a comment in the comment section below. And if not, subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.